everyone, this is Teacher Mercy, and today we will discuss about inverse variation. We will also learn how to translate variation statements into mathematical equations and solve problems involving inverse variation.
What is an inverse variation? To have a clearer understanding of this kind of relation, let us consider this illustrative example. Catherine is traveling a distance of 60 kilometers and driving her car. The time t to reach her destination depends on the average speed s. Some possible speeds and lengths of time it takes her to reach her destination are as follows. In the table, the speed is expressed in kilometers per hour while the time is in hours. If the speed is 60, the time is 1. If the speed is 30, the time is 2. And if the speed is 20, the time is 3. To have a clearer picture of the relation, the graph is shown. How does the speed and the time affect each other? What mathematical statement represents the situation? Let's answer these questions as we go on with our discussion. Take a look at the table. What happens to the time when the speed decreases from 60 kilometers per hour to 30 kilometers per hour? The time increases from 1 hour to 2 hours. When the speed decreases to 20 kilometers per hour, the time increases to 3 hours. In this situation, a decrease in speed causes an increase in the time of travel, as shown in the table and graph. So we can say that the time varies inversely as the speed, or the time is inversely proportional to the speed. Let us try to get the product of the pairs of values. The pair 60 and 1, and its product is 60. 30 times 2 is 60. 20 times 3 is 60. We observe that the product of each pair of values is constant, which is 60. So therefore, S times T is equal to 60, or T is equal to 60 over S. This relation illustrates an inverse variation.
From the example that we have, we can say that inverse variation occurs whenever a situation produces pairs of numbers whose product is constant. For two quantities x and y, an increase in x causes a decrease in y, or vice versa. So we can say that y varies inversely as x, or x varies inversely as y. The statement y varies inversely as x is translated to y equals k over x, where k is the constant of variation.
Let's translate these statements into mathematical equations. Number 1. The number of pizza slices P varies inversely as the number of persons N sharing the whole pizza. So the mathematical equation is P is equal to K over N. Number 2. The number of peach plants N in a row varies inversely as the space S between them. So its equation is N is equal to K over S. And number 3. The mass of an object M varies inversely as the acceleration due to gravity J. So its equation is M is equal to K over G.
Let's take up example B. Find the constant of variation and write the equation represented by the table. Since a table is given, we need only to choose any of the pair of values in the table. Let's choose 2 and 36. How do you find the constant? In an inverse variation, the product of two quantities is a constant. So we can have xy is equal to k. Substitute these values to x and y. So it will be 2 times 36 is equal to k. Then 2 times 36 equals 72. So therefore, the constant of variation is 72. Then, substitute this constant of variation to the equation xy equals k. So, it will be xy is equal to 72. Divide both sides by x. Then y is equal to 72 over x. So, this is now the equation. Let us take up example C. If y varies inversely as x and y equals 10 when x equals 5, find y when x equals 15. So what are given? We have x sub 1 is equal to 5 and y sub 1 equals 10. X sub 2 equals 15 and we need to find y sub 2. There are two ways to solve this problem. The first method. First is we have to translate the variation statement into an equation. So we have y varies inversely as x will be equal to y equals k over x. Let us substitute these values of x and y to the equation to find the constant. So we have 10 is equal to k over 5. By cross multiplication, we have k equals 50. So we have now the constant of variation. This is equal to 50. Let us find the equation of this problem. So we have to substitute 50 to this equation, so it will become y is equal to 50 over x. Then, to solve for y sub 2, we have to substitute the value of x to this equation, so it will be 50 over 15. So y sub 2 is, simplify 50 over 15, it will be 10 over 3. So, y sub 2 is 10 over 3 when x equals 15. The second method. In an inverse variation, the product of two quantities is a constant. So, we have the equation k is equal to x, y. So, in this case, we can have a proportion which is x sub 1, y sub 1 is equal to x sub 2, y sub 2. Then substitute this given to this equation. So it will be 5 times 10 is equal to 15 y sub 2. Then divide both sides by 15. So 15 y sub 2 divided by 15 is y sub 2. Then cancel 5 and 15. So it will be 50 divided by 5 is 3. So we have 10 over 3. So y sub 2 therefore is 10 over 3. Okay, let's take up example D. Solve the given problem. The number of days needed in repairing a house varies inversely as the number of men working. It takes 15 days for 2 men to repair the house. How many men are needed to complete the job in 6 days? So let's have the given. Let x be the number of days and let y be the number of men. So, the given are, our x sub 1 is equal to 15 days. And our y sub 1 is equal to 2 men. Then, x sub 2 is equal to 6 days. And we need to find y sub 2. Again, there are two ways to solve this problem. Let's have the first method. Let us first translate the variation statement into a mathematical equation. So the number of days needed varies inversely as the number of men working. So we have x is equal to k over y. Then let us solve for the constant. So using this equation, we are going to substitute the given x sub 1 and y sub 1. So we have 15 days is equal to, or 15 is equal to k over 2. So our constant therefore is 15 times 2 is 30. Then substitute this value to this equation so that we can have our equation, mathematical equation for this problem. So we have x is equal to 30 over y. So let us now solve for y sub 2. So substitute x sub 2, we have 6 days is equal to 30 over y. We cross multiply, we have 6y is equal to 30. Then divide both sides by 6, y is equal to 5. So therefore, there are 5 men needed to repair or to finish the job in 6 days. Okay, what about the second method? Since in an inverse variation, the product of two quantities or each pair of quantities is a constant, so we'll have k is equal to x, y. So that we can make a proportion as x sub 1 times y sub 1 is equal to x sub 2 times y sub 2. Now, using this equation, we are going to substitute the given to this. So we have 15 days times 2 is equal to 6 times y sub 2. Then divide both sides by 6. So we have 6y sub 2 divided by 6 is y sub 2. Then 15 times 2 is 30 divided by 6 is 5. So therefore, y sub 2 is equal to 5 men. So there are 5 men needed to finish the job in 6 days. That's all for today. I hope you learned something from this lesson. Again, this is Teacher Mercy. I hope to see you again in my next tutorial video. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye.